This one thing has sabotaged my growth in business. And I would confidently say many of you listening today have had the same sabotaged growth because I see it everywhere. And it's something you need to be aware of because it's sneaky and it creeps in as excitement and makes the harder days feel really fun. But it actually isn't helping you. It's hindering you and it's keeping you stuck. Hands up if you enjoy a bit of social media scrolling. Yep, that is definitely me. I'm definitely guilty of that. It's kind of a form of relaxation for me, I guess, or at least a way to just kind of zone out. And don't worry, I'm not going to tell you today to get off scrolling socials because that's not what this is all about today. But next time that you are scrolling, I want you to consciously consider what comes up in your feed. Like, what are the main themes that come up in your feed? Is it mum tips? Is it humorous posts? Is it inspiration? Or is it a whole heap of business strategies? Because whilst you're doom scrolling and somewhat zoned out, your unconscious brain is taking in what's in that feed, whether you realize that or not. And what I've found attracts entrepreneurs like you and me is how to do business easier, how to grow faster, how to grow quicker. And we are naturally wired to take the path of least resistance. So strategies that pop up in our feed, touting to be the easier, effortless way to grow is what we naturally gravitate towards. So let's say we're focusing on one strategy and it's feeling quite hard. Then someone pops up in our feed showing their results or explaining their way is the best, and we get sucked in because we want it to be easy too, right? None of you started your business to work more hours than your 9 to 5. None of you want to be the unpresent mum, right? Or to sacrifice your social time because you need to work on your business. Sure, that is a trade-off initially that you don't mind because everything's exciting. But if it becomes a long-term thing, that's not fun. And it's not the freedom-filled lifestyle that you thought this business would bring you. So guess what? When we are faced with the idea that another way may be easier, our brains take notice. We start doubting the path that we're currently on. We start entertaining the idea that this new approach is one we need to jump onto. And we start going down yet another rabbit hole, using more energy because it's exciting and new, only to run out of steam a few weeks or months later because we're no further ahead, or we're not as far as we had hoped we were ahead. I've 100% been here. In fact, what I'm describing is me many times over across the 3 businesses that I run today. I still have to catch myself falling into the trap that I call shiny object syndrome. Because as I said before, it is really sneaky and it creeps in relentlessly because that's how we're wired. But I'm here to shine a big, bright light on my mistakes so that you don't make them too. Because shiny object syndrome sucks the life out of you. It is an endless roller coaster of excitement and exhaustion. Excitement because your brain tells you that this is the thing that you're missing. This is what is going to grow you faster with less effort. And then exhaustion because you have to learn and implement something new. And that takes time and energy. And then when you're doing that over and over and over again, this strategy 1 month and another the next, you start running on empty. And that, my friend, is not sustainable. It may move you forward a little bit, but you're chasing a dream that isn't reality. It's like when you want to lose weight. So your feed is full of do this, not that. Keto is the way. So you cut out carbs. Then one night out with the girls, they order a pizza and you eat as much as you can get into your little hot hands, right? Then you realize that giving up carbs is not fun. It's not the effortless path that you thought it was. So then you join Weight Watchers. They say that you can eat anything in moderation. So let's do that. Then 2 months in, you get so sick of having to weigh and point your food that you jump onto the next thing. What I want to highlight here is that there is no effortless path. No matter what strategy you take, it's going to require a bit of grit. The other point I want to make here is that all of these strategies work if you stick to them, but jumping from one strategy to the next is the easiest way to exhaust yourself and the fastest way to slow your growth. If I've come up on your feed, you'll see me say that I've grown my business by setting up a repeatable sales system, powered by email and somewhat automated. Now, my way is by no means the only way. Another e-com coach may say that their way is what will grow your business. They teach Meta and Google ads. Now, both strategies work. Both coaches have proof that it works. Just like keto and just like Weight Watchers, both strategies have proof that it works. What doesn't work and will sabotage your growth quicker than you realize is when you strategy hop. You don't implement and master one strategy, one pathway. You skim the surface of many different strategies. Now, there are 2 reasons why you get sucked into doing this. Number 1, your brain is wanting the quickest path and you have been struck with shiny object syndrome. And sometimes, number 2, you haven't found a strategy that uniquely aligns to you, your budget and your capacity, right? Your strategy has to align to you, your budget, and your capacity. When you skim the surface of many different strategies, they're not connected. It's disjointed and it's like walking a windy path. It takes you longer than walking a straight path or staying with the same strategy and mastering it. So if you did keto for 3 weeks and then did Weight Watchers and ate all the carbs for 4 weeks, that 7 weeks is not going to move you forward as if you had stayed on the one strategy. Can you see my point here? I want to come back to the coach who teaches ads, and that works, right? But only if your budget matches your realistic goal. So you can learn ads and implement ads, and that will 100% work, right? If you master it, that will 100% grow your business. But you're not going to make thousands on $5 a day. So if your budget is only $5 a day, going all in on learning and mastering ads is still not going to get you where you want to go. You're still not going to be able to reach your goal with that strategy, right? Every single coach that you see in your feed who shares their strategy has a strategy that works. Unless they're an unethical human, right? Selling you something they haven't done themselves or haven't been able to teach others to do. But I would say that 99% of strategies work. The question then becomes, will they work for you? And the answer to that is it really does depend. It depends on 2 things. 1, is the strategy aligned to your values and what you enjoy doing? And 2, will you stick at it long enough to master it so that it gives you the results you are after? Can you see how these are intertwined? You can't kind of have one without the other. You have to enjoy it and you have to be in it for the long haul to master it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be in it for the long haul. And it's going to feel a lot harder than it needs to. Which brings me to the one thing I want you to take away from today's episode. Have you found a strategy that is aligned to you that you can stick to and master? Because strategy hopping is sabotaging you. You either have shiny object syndrome and your brain is telling you that there is an easier way, or you haven't found a strategy that you feel so deeply aligned to that you don't feel distracted by all the other options. When you go all in on an aligned strategy and master it, it will work. The tricky part is finding that strategy in the first place. So let me share some of the turmoil I've had whilst growing my coaching business and where I've landed, just to paint a picture here, because this is so common. This happens to nearly all of us. I knew I wanted to support others to grow a freedom-filled business. After working in corporate for over 20 years and now working for myself, I want others to have the freedom that I have. No having to ask for annual leave or take your lunch at a set time. No having to go to the gym before the sun is up or after dinner. That's what I want to teach others to have. And yes, I also want to pay myself in the process, because I can't just do this for love. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go back to a job, and I don't want to have to do that, right? Now, I've had a number of coaches that I've signed up to help me grow my coaching business. Because let me tell you, growing a coaching business compared to growing an ecom business is a totally different kettle of fish. And I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I always like to break down what problems I need to solve to grow, right? And then work out, how am I going to solve them? What is the path that I'm going to take? So the very first problem I had to solve, and you have to solve in your ecom business as well, is visibility. Because people can't work with me or buy from you if they don't know that you exist, right? So I've worked with coaches on how I get myself out there and pretty much come full circle to where I am today. If you look at my socials, you will see a flurry of activity in my feed, followed by periods where I'm just not active. Now, I've followed coaches with frameworks to be more consistent on social media because I got sucked into, you just have to do that to succeed, right? You just have to be more present on social media to succeed. So I have learnt their frameworks and I have gone all in on that strategy, only to have failed miserably many times. And why? Because it's not a visibility strategy that aligns to what I enjoy doing. I don't want to have to post daily or several times a day. I want to post when I have something I feel compelled to share. So I've found different ways to get found. Number one being this podcast, which I thoroughly enjoy doing. I have committed to releasing one episode per week, but what I won't commit to, and this episode is proof of that, is releasing each week's episode on a set day every single week. Because I know that if I commit to something, I'm going to follow through with it. And I know that if I said to you, I'm always going to release this on a Monday, then these episodes wouldn't be valuable because I'd feel compelled to record when I'm just not in the zone. And that's not fun. So I don't do that. So let's round this episode up with some key takeaways and next steps. Number one, shiny object syndrome is not a character flaw, right? It's how your brain is actually wired. It is natural to work in that way, right? To gravitate towards those shiny objects. You are literally designed to seek the path of least resistance. So when something new pops up in your feed promising easier, faster results, your brain is going to take notice. That's not weakness. That is just being a human, right? The problem isn't that it happens, it's when you keep acting on it before you've mastered what's already in front of you. Number two, strategy hopping is the thing that slows you down the most. Not the algorithm, not your product, not your prices. Every time you abandon a strategy before you've given it a real chance, you start back at zero. You lose momentum. You lose the compound effect of consistency and you burn energy that could have been going into mastery, right? All of these strategies you've tried, they probably would have worked if you'd stuck with them long enough. Number 3, and this is the big one, the question is never, does this strategy work? The question should be, does this strategy work for me? A strategy that requires you to post 6 times a week on social media might work brilliantly for someone who loves creating content, but if you resent every moment of it, you're not going to stick with it. And then it doesn't work, not because the strategy is wrong, but because the fit is wrong. Alignment matters hugely in this space, right? You need a strategy you can actually commit to long enough to master it so that you can see results. Number 4, mastery, right? Mastery requires repetition, and repetition requires patience. And that is the unsexy truth. The founders that I see making consistent, predictable sales are not the ones who have tried everything. I promise you that. They're the ones who found something that worked for them, they stuck with it, and they kept getting better at it. They're playing the long game. Incremental results and effort compound and add up to big results over time. So here's your action step this week. I want you to do a really quick audit on yourself. Grab a piece of paper or open the Notes app in your phone and answer these 3 questions really, really honestly. Question 1, what strategy am I currently pursuing? And have I actually given it a real chance? Not 2 weeks, not a month, not half implemented it and doing something else, a genuine all-in attempt. Question 2, is this strategy aligned to who I am as a person? Does it fit my values, my budget, my capacity, what I enjoy doing? And honestly, does it fit my personality? Because if you dread doing it, you're not going to keep doing it. Question 3, what have I been distracted by lately? What's been appearing in my feed that's made me question the path that I'm on? Write it down. Take notice next time you open your social media app and you start scrolling. What is it? Because what shows up is what you've been drawn to. What shows up are the things that you stop and you read, right? You're going to see more of those. The algorithm is super clever. I want you to name that shiny object, because the moment you name it, you take some of its power away. You recognize it, right? You don't need to find a new strategy. You probably just need to commit more deeply to the one that you already have, or find one that is aligned. So if you're sitting there thinking, I actually haven't found a strategy that I feel really aligned to yet, that is okay. That's the most honest place to start. And the goal isn't to try everything, it's to find the one thing that fits and go all in on it. I want you to consider, where were you 6 months from today, right? So we are in June if you're listening to this episode when it comes out. So back in January, did you think you would be further ahead than? And if the answer is yes, I want you to honestly answer, have you gone all in on one strategy, or are you strategy hopping? That is the question for this episode. And if you're strategy hopping, you need to stop right now. You need to find your thing and you need to go all in and you need to master it. Then and only then are you going to move forward faster. That is it from me today. I hope that this episode gave you a bit of a mirror moment, because I think most of us need that from time to time, me included. I'd love to hear what came up for you while you were listening to this episode. Drop into my DMs on Instagram and let me know. I'm at Chontelle, and I genuinely read every single message. Tell me what resonated and what you're going to do differently. Or even just, what is your shiny object? No judgment from me. Until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week.